Reality television is a mixed bag. On one hand, reality TV offers its viewers a captivating glimpse into the lives of seemingly everyday people and celebrities alike, often serving as a source of entertainment, escapism, and sometimes even inspiration. When it's good, it's great, and can even provide a platform for important social conversations that otherwise might have not happened. But on the flip side, it's not hard to argue that the quote-unquote reality aspect of reality TV can and often does promote an unhealthy environment, unrealistic standards, and in some cases, a distorted view of real life. Tonya Cooley's journey across two MTV shows paints a very dark picture of what it's really like to be a reality television star in the 2000s. Across just 7 short years, her life would fall apart in real time and in front of the eyes of millions of horrified viewers. Watching at home, she would endure endless bullying, have her privacy violated multiple times, and in 2010 she would file a lawsuit against the network that shot her career into stardom, a lawsuit which would lead to the ban of 2 of Tonya's male co-stars from MTV's The Challenge. Now, a lifelong ban from The Challenge is quite a strong statement, as this show is known for recasting its stars on multiple seasons, with some players spending decades or more competing on the show. Some go from being villains to heroes, while others have a very satisfying fall from grace. But either way, almost no one, and I repeat, no one gets banned from The Challenge. Not for getting into physical fights, not for bullying each other, and not even for being extremely and repeatedly racist. And this is exactly why Tonya's story on MTV's The Challenge serves as a great reminder of the truly dark and disturbing history of reality television. Part 1. Before The Challenge. Tonya Cooley was born on January 7, 1980, making her 44 years old as of making of this video. Tonya was born in California but would later relocate to a small city in Washington, known as Walla Walla. Throughout her several appearances on reality television, Tonya would put this small town with this strange name on the map.
I'm Tonya, I'm 21, and I'm from Walla Walla, Washington. And I'm from Walla Walla, Washington.
Tonya's first appearance on reality television would come in 2002 when she was cast to appear on season 11 of The Real World Chicago. MTV's The Real World is widely credited for launching the reality TV genre as we know it today. Airing its first season in 1992, this show's format includes gathering a group of diverse strangers to live in a house in a chosen city, while a camera crew follows their each and every move. And this is where Tonya would first leave her mark on reality TV, as she is introduced as a 22-year-old nursing student who comes from a small and conservative background. The show delivering strong vibes of a small-town girl in a big city kind of thing. Tonya's sheltered upbringing becomes especially obvious when she explains her rather extreme opinions about sensitive matters.
I haven't had a positive experience with interracial living Black people intimidate me. My interpretation of being homosexual relationships is just a lot of drugs, a lot of sin. I'm feeling really uncomfortable because I don't agree with homosexuality. I'm not going to act as if I agree with it when I don't.
In keeping with the format of the show, which functions to explore the lives of its participants, Tonya would go through the details of her childhood, a childhood which sadly was riddled with difficulties. On The Real World, Tonya explains her lack of relationship with her birth mother, and any kind of biological family for that matter, having been separated from her parents and siblings at an early age, and placed into foster care, where she would spend her life until the age of 17, where she aged out of the system and was forced to make it all on her own.
I grew up in foster care. I do not have a relationship with my birth mother whatsoever. My memories of her are not motherly. I have no idea where she lives, and I have no idea who she is. Everything was so formal, and there was a bunch of kids and nobody talked, and honestly, the only thing that I needed then was probably just someone to hold me. I lived with my biological mother until the age of 12, and I was placed in foster care. From that point, until I moved out on my own when I was 17. I can't remember ever hearing I love you. I know that I've missed out, but I think God's given me the most incredible gift because I'm a very lovable person. And I thank God every day that I still have that because I shouldn't, coming from the place I had.
Tonya's entire season on The Real World can be summed up in a couple of words, those being Walla Walla, kidney stones, and her boyfriend Justin, something which her castmates on the show take note of and often joke about.
Kidney stones and kidney stones and not on the tip and not on the tip and Justin coming, Justin coming, I can't go and I can't go, Walla Walla, kidney stones, Walla Walla, Walla Walla.
Let me explain. Tonya's priorities coming into Chicago seem to differ from her other co-stars. She isn't really into the partying scene, she isn't big on drinking, and she's hyper-focused on her boyfriend Justin. Her and Justin are in a committed relationship, and Tonya often references wanting to marry him in the not-so-distant future. She spends most of her time in the house on the phone with Justin, talking to him for hours on end and often multiple times a day. This later causes issues with her roommates, specifically Anissa and Theo. Anissa and Tonya get into an argument when Anissa wants to use the phone to call her family on her birthday, but isn't able to because Tonya is constantly using the phone.
She's always on the phone with Justin. Like, she sleeps by the phone. You talk to him for like 3 hours at a time. Sometimes I want to talk on the phone too. Sometimes we all do.
You're like talking to yourself. No one listens to you when you talk loud.
No one's come to visit me, so I wanted to talk to them.
And that's fine.
For my birthday, celebrate the day of my birth. Tonya is on my bad side right now, and I don't know if she's ever gonna move from there.
This incident is followed by a similar one, this time with Theo, who also gets into an argument that is much more heated with Tonya over her constantly being on the line with her boyfriend Justin. This confrontation with Theo results into Tonya feeling triggered and unsafe due to her history of growing up in foster care.
He started screaming, "Give me the phone!" I'm like, Theo, I'm not gonna give you the phone.
I disconnected the line. Believe I did.
He scared the out of me, so I turned around and threw his glass because I thought if I threw it, he'd get out of my face. You guys, I'm sorry, don't eat it. I've been raised in a family where I got the beat out of me by men, and I'm not going to deal with it. And we were supposed to be safe, and I don't feel safe with him.
Aside from her selfish use of the single phone they have, Tonya's medical issues play a huge part in alienating her further from the group. Earlier in the season, Tonya is seen experiencing severe abdominal pain that is later explained to be due to her history of recurrent urinary tract infections and multiple kidney stones. As her condition worsens, it's speculated by Tonya that the reason this has gotten so bad is due to her inability to receive treatment for those UTIs as a child, largely due to her growing up in foster care, which is honestly just sad.
Ever since I was like 13, I've had UTIs. I just haven't had to do anything about it then. No, I lived in foster care. They could care less about you. You didn't go to the doctor. A lot of my kidney and bladder infections were overlooked because I was a foster kid and I might have been making it up. There's just a lot of resentment and a lot of anger because I feel like I wasn't taken care of when I was a kid. And so now I'm dealing with the consequences. And to top it off, as a result, I'm thousands and thousands of dollars in debt on top of being sick.
The constant pain Tonya feels prevents her from participating in much of the physical activities her roommates do, including showing up to their job. And while Tonya's co-stars are mostly sympathetic to her circumstances, some of them do feel like she might be exaggerating just how bad things are. Moreover, when Tonya chooses to go back home to seek further treatment for her kidney stones, and at the same time see her boyfriend Justin, doubts about her medical issues grows further.
Tonya has this whole I need attention, cry for help, dramatic type of personality. That's why it's really hard for me to trust her and to believe her.
Put it past Tonya, after all she's been through, to exaggerate her illness.
I have this theory about Tonya's ailments. I think that her missing Justin and her loneliness without him, I think it really is a catalyst for her condition.
Tonya probably does have a few things wrong with her body, but I feel that she's going home because she's homesick. She misses her boyfriend.
While Tonya's back at Walla Walla taking care of her medical issues, the group in Chicago get closer and closer and they don't seem to miss her much. I mean, Anissa definitely doesn't miss her. But when Tonya does make her return to Chicago, she receives a warm welcome from most of her castmates. Things are made even better for Tonya when her boyfriend manages to find her birth certificate, something which makes her feel really emotional and happy. In her excitement, she says she's going to marry Justin, and I really wish Tonya would have stayed in Walla Walla with Justin and had a quiet, boring life instead of the path she was about to go down on. At this point of the season, it's obvious that Tonya's relationship with her castmates isn't as strong as they have with each other. She continues to butt heads with Anissa as the two of them simply don't like each other, with Tonya referring to Anissa as disgusting and revolting, which is really harsh. This is due to Anissa being comfortable walking around naked and having a very colorful vocabulary that Tonya is just not used to hearing. Things are made worse when Tonya's kidney issues flare up once again, this time with her actually passing blood while going to the bathroom. This event is witnessed by her roommates and leads to them actually believing her pain this time. Things get so bad that Tonya needs to make a visit to the emergency room to get more help. However, she's reluctant to do that due to her already being in debt with credit cards for her already massive medical bills.
I'm scared. I'm peeing blood and I'm 21.
Frustrated. I don't know. I want to be sick anymore. I know that I need to go and I'm being stupid.
After being discharged from the hospital, Tonya is forced to miss a fun trip with her castmates due to her having to take a second job as a waitress to keep up with her nursing degree debt as well as her enormous medical bills.
The medical bills and nobody there to help me out. I can't turn to mom and I can't turn to dad, and so I have to work a lot more than the rest of the roommates.
With the season coming to an end, everyone is sad to leave Chicago and each other, except for Tonya, who can't wait to go back home to her boyfriend Justin. Overall, Tonya's first reality television appearance does a good job of painting a clear picture of who she is at this point of her life. Moreover, it sets the stage for the dramatic and negative effect her continuous reality television appearances would soon have on her mental as well as her physical health, as Tonya would become almost unrecognizable personality-wise by the time this video comes to an end. And I don't say this to shade Tonya, but rather emphasize her drastic change from a small-town conservative girl to someone who would soon be perceived as wild and uncontrollable, and how this change in personality would be used to excuse some of the severe bullying and harassment Tonya would soon sadly experience. Part 2. The Challenge. Tonya's second appearance on reality television would be during the filming of MTV's competition series The Challenge. In 2003, Tonya would be cast to appear on the 6th season of the show known as Battle of the Sexes. Tonya comes into the challenge fresh out of her experience of the real world Chicago, and this season showcases a level-headed and a very likable Tonya. She manages to stay away from the drama for the most part, apart from mildly butting head with Anissa, who she already had a pre-existing history with and a bad experience on the real world. Tonya's first season of the challenge is not one that establishes her as a physical or even memorable player, but it does succeed in showcasing just how nice she is and will continue to be during her upcoming appearances on the show. And this just adds to the sadness and frustration I felt for all the mean treatment and bullying she was about to experience soon, undeservingly. Tonya's relaxed and kind nature is seen early on in the season when the girls refuse to partner up with Amaya due to her making a comment about maybe quitting the show in order to deal with some family issues she is having back home. This understandably makes the other girls reluctant to partner up with her, fearing that their team will lose and be at risk of getting eliminated. Tonya, recognizing Amaya's frustration with the situation, decides to take one for the team as she volunteers to be her partner.
I'm seeing Amaya get really emotional, and I don't think that this game is worth anybody getting their feelings hurt. I'm willing to take one for the team. It's not that big of a deal for me.
This act of kindness, however, backfires on Tonya, as Amaya is unable to complete the daily mission, leading to their team getting disqualified and at risk of being eliminated. To make matters worse, Tonya ends up injuring her ankle in the process. But despite her injury, Tonya gets to stay in the house as Amaya gets voted out of the game. Tonya's injury, as well as her discomfort and refusal to take part in a daily mission that requires her to basically get naked on camera each time she answers a question wrong, puts a huge target on her back. Her fate in the game is finally sealed when she expresses to the girls her desire to leave the competition, wanting to be back home with her boyfriend and friends. With this, Tonya exits the competition gracefully, and although this was a very short season for her, she still manages to leave a great impression on viewers of the show. She seems to be a lovely person who's very positive and overall just a joy to watch. Following her successful debut on the Challenge's 6th season, Tonya would be back to compete on the following season of the hit series known as The Gauntlet. Sadly, I'm unable to cover this season in detail as I couldn't find it anywhere, but Tonya would last a total of 3 episodes during this season and would get voted off mainly due to an injury she sustains to her leg. Tonya's third appearance on the challenge would be much longer and way more eventful, both in good and bad ways. As she competes on the 9th season of the challenge known as Battle of the Sexes 2, Tonya would find herself back once again as part of the girls' team, competing against the boys in hopes of securing the $180,000 prize. Tonya starts off the season confident and determined to prove her ability to compete, even if that includes eating whatever nasty things the producers come up with, or licking a few rocks in a really weird daily mission.
I think I'm a damn strong competitor, and it's about time that everyone gets to see that. I will do anything. I'll eat anything. Bring it on.
Tonya's almost crazy to the point of what she'll do to win. I'm glad she's here, and I hope she keeps on kicking ass.
Her commitment to the game, as well as her easygoing nature, continues to win over the viewers watching at home, as she once again takes one for the team. This happens during a daily challenge that requires the contestants to chew literal huge live cockroaches in order to win, which is gross. The gross nature of the mission makes the women go into the challenge pretty much knowing that they would be losing to the boys, which in turn makes them reluctant to take on the role of team leaders. Rachel and Katie volunteer. However, Katie quickly recognizes that when and if the women lose, she's probably going to be the sacrificial lamb for the group, so she changes her mind. When no one steps up in her place, confusion and an argument takes place. Things are only resolved when Tonya volunteers herself to lead alongside Rachel, in a move that made me love Tonya so much more.
It is going to be almost impossible for us to win this mission.
Exactly. So who's going to step up as a leader?
I know, I hate to say it, we're probably might be sacrificing somebody even before the mission today. Exactly.
To Katie,
Myself, team leader. At this point, I'm ready to step up as a team leader.
For Katie or for whoever might be going home today, try your best.
Because I hear Rachel saying that it was me that was going to be going home. Why would you say something like that?
Yo, not a leader. You got 10 minutes to make the strategy.
Not be a leader.
Her decision to volunteer as a team leader pays off, as she is safe for the week with Rachel going home instead. Despite an overall good performance by Tonya, she still ends up being looked at as one of the weaker girls in the house, mostly due to her directly causing her team loss by getting 2 penalties in an earlier daily mission. And with the final approaching, the girls decide to take a more practical approach to eliminations by eliminating the weakest players based on their stats in the game so far. They do that by making a list which Tonya is not involved in making. This leads to Tonya panicking about her position on that list and in turn the game. Her anxiety about the list results into her confronting her other teammates about it. Tension quickly rises and an argument takes place.
Kind of weird that you made it hard and gave it to him and didn't include everybody else.
Well, she asked me. Tonya started freaking out about the list because I think she knows on paper she looks really, really bad.
Nobody's tripping off that list but you.
I'm not tripping. I want to make it
Why are you
fair.
trying to make another list? I don't know why everyone's attacking me. Nobody attacking you, but you brought it up. But then it was black and white, Tonya. It was black and white. No, but I don't understand. Why are you yelling? I was completely frustrated with the list because it was too
You're still here because of that list.
The fact is that, everyone attacking me about this. No,
This confrontation further distances Tonya from the other girls in the house, making her position in the game shaky at best. On a more personal level, Tonya this season seems to be way more comfortable in front of the cameras, and this, as well as her having a longer season, allows for her personality to be seen way more compared to her previous appearances on the challenge. Watching Battle of the Sexes 2 gives the viewer a sense of how Tonya has evolved across the years. She still has the same stunning look, but with an added confidence that can be easily seen by the way she carries herself as well as her sense of style. Season 9, in my opinion, marks Tonya's shift from a shy, mostly conservative girl to an open-minded, confident, and sometimes even wild woman. Something I'm sad to report would be used against her, and she would be shamed for seasons to come. The torment that would haunt Tonya for the next decade of her life would all start with her appearance on Battle of the Sexes 2. As a 24-year-old, Tonya embraces the challenge and reality television lifestyle by drinking, maybe too much, having fun, and hooking up with a few boys.
Tonya definitely likes to break it down with a little lip locking, a little hugging, a little teasing, a little taking her shirt off, doing whatever she can.
Blonde, but damn it, I am young, sexy, single, graduated from college. I can be stupid and silly and throw my together.
You just gonna get up and roll out here.
Tonya likes to drink and party and kiss boys. I mean, as a team member, I have a problem with the drinking. She should just be focused.
Now, at this point of the game, Tonya's relationship to the other girls in her team, as mentioned earlier, isn't that great. And while it wouldn't be as bad as it gets in the future, she does end up experiencing a lot of instances where she finds herself in direct conflict with her other co-stars. Tina and her would go on to have a lifelong feud that starts this season with a simple argument over Tina using the phone too much. This simple argument would lay the ground for the severe dislike both women would go on to have towards each other.
All I was saying was that you're on the phone a lot. It's not a big deal. I'm not sure. So are you. You are the biggest liar in the house. And I can't say, I'll call you out. Don't get up in my face about me being on the phone, because I'll grab the phone and use it when it's sitting there. Hey,
Tonya would exit season 11 of the challenge during episode 13 after volunteering as a team leader in a challenge that the women's team loses, leading to Tonya being eliminated. She once again exits the game gracefully and with a good attitude. She's more confident than ever in herself as well as her competitive ability, and with the end of her journey on her third season of the challenge, Tonya Cooley has officially blossomed into a reality television star, with all the good and bad that comes with that job title. Tonya would make a surprise decision in 2003 to pose for Playboy magazine, something which must have been really shocking for both the fans as well as Tonya's co-stars on the challenge, who have followed her since her real-world days. Seemingly the small-town girl from Walla Walla, who refused to participate in a mission that involved nudity during filming of the 9th season of the challenge, is now a Playboy cyber girl. In promotion of her appearance on the magazine, Playboy wrote, quote, "During the 2003 taping of Battle of the Sexes, Tonya had made the bold decision to not take part in a challenge that included nudity for personal reasons. Miss Cooley surprised fans when a year later she decided to do nudity the right way, by posing for Playboy. While the MTV audience missed out, fans are glad Tonya waited for Playboy, and that's why she's our Cyber Girl of the Week for December 6, 2004, unquote." Tonya's next appearance on the challenge in 2005 would finally bring us into high-definition TV, with the premiere of Season 10 known as the Inferno 2. The format of this season has the players competing in two teams, the badasses, which are basically the bad guys, versus the good guys. And I was really confused as to why Tonya is on the quote-unquote badass team. All she did at this point was drink a little too much and make out with a few boys. Other than that, I thought she was one of the nicest girls in the house.
I'm definitely on the badass team. I don't think I could ever be on the good team based on what I've done on the last Battle of the Sexes.
This season of the challenge was really tough for me to get through, as Tonya would experience some intense bullying from the other girls all throughout her time on the show. And I really liked Tonya at this point and sympathized with her backstory and life struggles, which made watching the other girls in the house pick on her, belittle her, and basically just bully her really frustrating and sad. And it all starts with Tonya's pre-existent feud with Tina, who makes it very clear early on that she doesn't like Tonya.
Tonya and I don't get along. We all saw this on the Battle of Sexes too. It's not a rivalry, because for a rivalry, you need competition. Tonya's not my competition. She's my doormat.
A problem with one girl in the house would be something that I feel is very common on the challenge, and just reality television as a whole. Issues and fights create drama, and ultimately that's what we are all here for anyways. But when three girls decide to team up and bully one person constantly is where things get really uncomfortable to watch, and that's exactly what happens on the Inferno too, with Tina, Veronica and Rachel all embracing the role of mean girls and making Tonya their targets.
Girl fight. We got labeled the mean girls.
I think we deserve the title. I mean, we actually gave ourselves the title.
With every show I get, people think I'm getting meaner and meaner and meaner. We're so mean. Okay, we're the mean girls. Man.
Veronica, who appears to be the leader of this hate group or self-admitted mean girls clique, would later take things shockingly way too far. But like most cases of bullying, the harassment starts off slowly, with the three girls making fun of Tonya's modeling pictures, making mean comments about her body while laughing at her.
You know what? I never saw that one.
Your body's so retouched.
Actually, it's really not.
No, it really is. Your legs are not nearly that long.
Don't be sensitive. Don't be sensitive because every joke that's created is about me.
We are the least of your head troubles. If you need to go to counseling, it's because of everything else in your life.
No, really though, you guys are really mean sometimes.
These three girls are a team, and I'm not part of it. They in no way respect me. I'm like the joke to them.
This is followed by them getting upset with Tonya for feeling a certain kind of way about their treatment of her. Veronica goes as far as saying that the only reason Tonya is getting upset is because of her, well, troubled history. The situation is followed by the three girls yelling at Tonya unnecessarily during a daily mission when she fails to go as fast as they want her to.
As I'm going up, I'm hearing, "Why are you going so slow? Pick it up. I thought you were a rock climber."
Go, Tonya. Come on, Tonya. Come on, Tonya. Can you get so fast?
Oh my god, she's a nightmare.
Can you really disrespect somebody that much?
Is it all right?
I have had enough. I just did really well, and this is the way you guys are going to treat me?
Even though, keep in mind, Veronica, who I really disliked this season, couldn't get her ropes untied and cost her team at least a couple of minutes delay. But you don't see anyone yelling at her. No, God forbid anyone yells at Queen B. Sorry, I mean Queen V. The bullying of Tonya continues when the three girls jump at the opportunity to attack Tonya again when she makes a comment about Derek's strategy, who's playing on the opposite team. She says while being like 10 feet away from him that maybe, just maybe, he should consider straddling the tube and maybe going slow would help.
I had a hard time on the tube too. Because you had to drag yourself. That was like the only way.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him what to do. It was pretty obvious what they're doing.
Well, help the other team.
Bob's screaming at me?
Yeah, I love it. It makes me happy.
Don't tell him strategy.
Rachel even said you had to go slow. I didn't say anything different.
No, don't bring me into this.
Over this side?
I'm sorry, is Tonya giving out crucial information here? Like, what she's saying is just common sense. Also, can Derek even hear her? It's not like she's sitting next to him. I swear, the way Tina and Veronica reacted, do you think she was holding Derek's hand and leading him across the finish line? Honestly, they're such bullies. And if not bullies, then mean girls, and I can't stand them. Like, imagine someone talking to you like that in front of your friends and on national television. It's just not okay. Moreover, you can really see in real time how their treatment of Tonya is starting to chip away at her confidence slowly. Watching this season, you really get the sense that Tonya just wants to fit in and find her place or any place in the house. amongst her castmates. But the bullying just keeps escalating, and sadly, it's about to get a lot worse for her. During the following episodes, Tonya tries to approach the 3 girls in hopes of talking this mess out and resolving the situation, which makes sense, like all of them are grown adults and this isn't high school. But instead, she is met with disrespect and mockery.
You guys can make fun of me and have fun with me, but right now, it's crossing a line.
But Tonya, the truth is that we're all in the mix of the game, and nobody is coming down on you, Tonya. The only reason why this has become such a big issue is because you have made it a big issue.
I'm tired of
being what? Being the person that the 3 of you guys gang up on?
You have like a childhood complex about people ganging up on you.
Okay, so what if I do?
Tanya is trying to play victim. Honestly, I think it's laughable that she's this upset.
I would love a chance to prove to the 3 of you that I can do everything you guys think I won't.
You know what, Tanya? You've had a chance.
Don't laugh about it. Think I don't hear it. I do.
She really has problems. She is a walking time bomb. I'm done. Why is she following us? Why?
Tonya's situation doesn't get any better when she finds herself going in for elimination against her only friend in the house. But fortunately, she manages to pull out a win and is back in the house, much to the disappointment of the mean girls. They can't even bring themselves to cheer her on or go out with her to celebrate her win. While the whole team goes out drinking post Tonya's win, Veronica, Rachel, and Tina decide to go home. The boys, however, are happy for Tonya's win and show her a good time. Yay for the boys. Tonya's happiness doesn't last long as the girls continue to make mean comments to her, this time in front of Derek. Veronica even foreshadows a messed up situation that would happen soon after, when she tells Tonya that if she falls asleep naked, she will be taking pictures of her, something which, believe it or not, is actually going to happen soon enough.
Please be nice to me.
Oh, Tonya. Tonya just wants us to go to bed so she can masturbate, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the night before when it went something like this.
Her leg.
You guys are evil, mean bitches. It may look like me, Tina, and Veronica are all ganging up on Tonya, but the only reason why it looks like that is because she makes herself the outcast.
If the next time I hear you doing this, can I record you while you're sleeping?
Taking naked pictures of me sleeping is violating my privacy. Don't even go there, Veronica. It's not fun.
I'm gonna go sleep in another room. I'm gonna do whatever it takes at this point to get those girls to shut up.
Go away. What are you trying to cause by doing this?
What am I doing?
Left the room and you're gonna come over here and start. Go away.
Oh, God.
Walk away.
Oh, God.
Really, like.
Oh, God.
Tonya tries to de-escalate the situation by removing herself from the room, and she goes to sleep somewhere else, but Veronica follows her around to laugh at her, with Rachel egging her on. Tonya finds herself going into elimination once again, this time against Shavonda, and it's one episode from the final, so the stakes couldn't be any higher. And despite Shavonda shit-talking Tonya throughout the whole elimination, and the Mean Girl Alliance basically rooting against her, Tonya outlasts Shavonda and brings home the win, meaning she's going to the final for the first time in 3 seasons. And I can't describe how good it feels to see Tonya survive week after week, proving that she deserves to be here, especially with everything she went through this season. The final, however, is a letdown for Tonya and her team, as they fall behind the other team early on, and they stay behind throughout the entire challenge. Tonya and Tina both struggle during the running portion of the challenge, and while both women have to be literally carried by the guys, only Tonya gets criticized for it. Tina, on the other hand, gets comforted. I mean, of course, Veronica would only comfort Tina. I don't know what I was expecting exactly. She's awful, and I actually really hate her. And you might be thinking that hate is a strong word, but trust me, I have my reasons. Or well, one specific reason. Let me explain. I mentioned earlier that Veronica and Rachel would take pictures of a naked sleeping Tonya without her consent. Obviously without her consent, since she was literally unconscious.
They were taking nude pictures of me, and I was just furious. And they're like, "What's your problem? You post for Playboy. What?" And I was furious because don't take a picture of me when I'm sleeping.
Wait! I've got to show the viewers at home.
I don't understand.
Who sleeps like this? Topless.
She wanted that focus on her of, oh, Rachel, Tina, and Veronica don't like me.
They took pictures of me naked, Katie.
and showed it to the guys' team.
Jen told me that's up.
Yeah, I mean, for moments of pleasure, I took Veronica's toothbrush and put it in the toilet. One that didn't flush and was clogged for a couple days, and then watched her brush her teeth and smiled.
Tonya didn't do anything of the sort.
Tonya is this pathological liar.
But I didn't really get to see this happen in the episode I watched. And that's because in the version of the episode I had access to, this incident was edited out to leave out that specific part out. A TMZ article released in 2021 titled "Netflix Cuts Controversial MTV Challenge Episode" can be quoted saying, quote, "Netflix left a controversial episode from one of MTV's most popular shows on the cutting room floor, an episode infamous for some severe bullying. Here's the deal. The streaming giant just added 2 seasons of MTV's The Real World Rules Challenge, but fans will instantly notice something's missing. Some behind-the-scenes clips featuring 3 female cast members going after another female contestant. The episode was titled To Hell and Back, Hot Gossip from the Inferno 2, and the troubling scene showed Veronica, Rachel, and Tina ganging up on Tonya Cooley by snapping nude photos of her while she was sleeping. They later showed those clips to other house guests. That episode was the show's final in 2005 and aired instead of the usual end-of-season reunion." Unquote. What pisses me off about Veronica, Rachel, and Tina, other than the fact that they are obviously horrible human beings who constantly bully Tonya for no reason, and even go as far as taking naked pictures of her and showing those pictures to the cameras and the other guys in the house, which is obviously bad enough. But what really bothers me about this is that they have the nerves to actually blame her for it. Oh, it's Tanya's fault, we're mean, spiteful women. Sure, we took pictures of her while she was sleeping, but she wanted us to do that because she wanted attention. There's zero accountability, shame, or regrets in those 3, and I truly believe that they should have been banned from the show, but instead, Veronica would continue to appear on seasons as recent as a few years ago, and all 3 made an appearance on the Challenge All-Stars, which aired earlier this year. For all her trouble and the constant harassment Tonya went through on the Inferno 2, she would walk away with a $10,000 prize, which is obviously not worth the bullying or the crossing of her boundaries. One thing to address before moving on to Tanya's next appearance on the challenge, which believe it or not would be somehow even more tragic and sad, is Tonya kinda outing Veronica and Rachel in a post-show interview during filming of the Inferno 2.
She ran to the camera and basically outed him. Did you know about this?
Well,
Oh, there's definitely a relationship between Veronica and Rachel. Well, let's just say that there's a reason Veronica hasn't hooked up with anybody on this Inferno. And there's a reason why Veronica and Rachel sleep in the same bed. And when I get up and roll around, Veronica gets in her bed.
Rachel and Veronica did date for approximately 3 years, however they never addressed their relationship publicly. As per later interviews, it seemed like their relationship was an open secret within the cast, which means Tonya did try to out them, and while that's definitely not okay, I do find myself struggling to find much sympathy for those two. But anyways, back to Tanya's career on the challenge, which progressed with her appearance on season 12 in 2006 known as Fresh Meat. While Tanya's 5th challenge appearance wouldn't be as impressive as her previous or next season, it is still notable for introducing 2 new players to the game that would go on to have a huge impact on the hit MTV series, and would sadly define much of Tanya's story on the challenge. Evan and Kenny would make their first appearance in 2006 as part of the new players introduced to the game, or as the show refers to them as Fresh Meat. They would quickly establish themselves as series regulars, with Kenny appearing on a total of 8 seasons, while Evan would be in 6, and the two would become friends quickly, often forming alliances and playing the game together. Kenny and Evan would go on to largely dominate the seasons which they appeared in, but their treatment of their female co-stars, and Tonya specifically, would lead to a lawsuit being filed, and their subsequent and eventual ban from the show. All of this, however, would take place in a few years' time, and meanwhile, Tanya's 5th season on the challenge showcases a happy happy, healthy Tonya, who is excited to once again compete in the show that helped launch her career. And her excitement is increased when she is partnered up with Johnny, who seems to have both physical strength as well as kindness, and God knows Tonya is due for some kindness right about now. And while their position in the game should be great, especially with Johnny's obvious fitness and Tonya's years of experience, their team up sadly doesn't start off well, as the two struggle to compete early in the season, leading to Johnny being frustrated with Tonya for what he perceives to be a poor performance. But a little communication goes a long way, and they end up crushing the upcoming challenge, proving that Tonya has what it takes to make it in this game. Her sense of safety, however, in the game sadly doesn't last long. As the vets eliminate most of the new players, they find themselves having to pick each other off, and naturally Tonya, who is perceived to be one of the weakest players in the house, is at the top of the list of people at risk of going home. During a daily challenge, which both her and her partner, as well as Kenny and his partner Tina, have the poorest overall performance, Tonya finds herself being nominated for elimination, and she really takes this rejection to heart.
Somebody tell me why.
That's what I mean.
Tell me why. Because you know it's not based on merit, and that's why I'm pissed. If anybody would have had enough guts to just stand up and say, I don't like you, and that's why you're going home, then I would have said, okay, I have respect for you.
To make matters worse, she ends up facing off against Wes and his partner Casey, which adds to the whole tension of the elimination round because Wes dislikes Tonya and had made really rude comments about her during the earlier episodes due to her not wanting to work with him.
My conniving ideas behind people's backs did not work, and because of that, now I'm going up against my best friend instead of the slut Tonya and instead of the weak team Shane.
At the elimination, Wes and Casey have a clear advantage, as they are very familiar with the mission, having been nominated for elimination 3 times already. They set off quickly with the weights given to them, those weights being the exact weights of the contestants' baggage that they brought from home. Tonya's luggage is revealed to weigh a ridiculous 142 pounds, which is more than Wes and Casey's bags combined. This obviously leaves the team struggling to even lift the weight as they go through the course, eventually leading to them losing and Tonya going home early in the season. Season 12 of the challenge carries much of the same themes for Tonya, with her finding herself on the outs with most of the other players, and her sadly unable to bring home the win and the title of champion. And while Tonya's struggle to fit in would follow her into her next appearance on the challenge, she would be able to finally reach her goal of winning a season with her appearance on season 14 known as Inferno 3. But before I cover Tonya's disturbing journey into success, I have to talk about her appearance on the 2006 series True Life, in which Tonya takes the viewers at home into her day-to-day life as she balances her multiple gigs as a reality television star with her personal life with her then boyfriend Adam. Watching Tonya's episode on the series gave me the sense that she didn't really enjoy the lifestyle of constantly partying and promoting clubs in order to make a living, which is sad since she is at this point of her life relying on this for her income.
Honestly, I'm not sure that being Tonya from the real world is something that's worth pursuing anymore, but I don't know what else I could be doing to make a lot of money.
Tonya would end her episode on True Life by marrying her boyfriend and heading into filming season 14 of the challenge. Tonya would join the cast of the Inferno 3 in Africa, and surprise surprise, Tonya is once again cast among the troublemaking team, aka the badasses. And despite the show insisting on casting her as completely wild and out of control, she actually enters the game in a really stable place in her life, having just gotten married to her boyfriend and maintaining a relatively sustainable lifestyle as a reality television star.
No one sees me as settling down because I used to drink, have whatever I want, but now I have recently met a man that's changed all that. He grounds me and I'm content.
Tonya starts off the season really well. She's focused and in a good place both mentally and physically, and her performance really reflects that. She manages to complete the heights challenge that most of the girls fail to do, all the while literally shaking from fear. And it's not just a one-off thing for her. In fact, this season Tonya brings her A game, even managing to win a mission early on, and honestly it feels so good to watch her kick ass. I feel like a proud mom. Her ability to put on really strong performances during the daily missions finally leads to her teammates seeing her as a good competitor and as someone who is a strong asset for their team. Tonya's stable position within her team and in turn the game is made better by her staying away from the drama for once. And trust me, there is a lot of drama happening this season, mostly between the badass team who can't seem to get along and are constantly going in after one another. And while Tonya manages to stay out of the line of fire from her own team, she quickly finds herself being a target for the church-going, holier-than-thou good girl Susie, who despite all the sarcastically positive adjectives I just used to describe her, is a total spiteful bitch that would go on to torture Tonya for the remaining of the season, because God forbids Tonya can get through a season without a couple of mean girls bullying her on national television. The harassment of Tonya starts off disturbingly similar to how the whole situation with Veronica, Rachel, and Tina started just a few seasons ago, with Susie slut-shaming Tonya.
Day out of the blue, she says to me, "What's that smell? What's your perfume?" I tell her. And then she has the balls to say to me, "You smell like a stripper, but in a good way," with this eating grin on her face.
I don't know why Tonya hates me. I really do not know. You know there's people dying all over the world. What does that have to do with you being such a bitch? You can pray for her at night because I'm really worried about her. I think she has definitely bipolar or some sort of multiple personalities.
Susie then goes on to invent this game where her and her sidekick Kara, as well as Collie, all play a game where they list off all the reasons they hate Tonya, and these reasons get pretty horrible and honestly just nasty.
I would say one reason why they hate Tonya, but keep going till it ends.
I hate Tonya because she's a slut.
I hate Tonya because her voice is scratchy.
I hate Tonya because every 5 seconds she's in a new sexual position.
I hate Tonya because she's more evil than Tonya Harding.
I hate Tonya because she called me a bitch this morning.
I hate Tonya because she thinks that she's a playmate and she's not.
I hate Tonya because she tries to get involved into my life when she's not invited.
This was so annoying to watch. I honestly don't understand why Susie is being so horrible to Tonya. She keeps saying that the reason why she isn't getting along with her is because Tonya doesn't like her. And I'm sat here thinking like, yeah, of course she doesn't like you, Susie. You told her she smelled like a stripper, which I'm sorry, what was she supposed to do exactly in response? Smile and thank you? Fresh out of Veronica and the other girls saying similar nasty things to her? Like, are we sure mean girl Susie is on the right team? Like, who put her on the good guys team? Anyways, back to Tonya, who finds herself quickly spiraling in the house under the pressure of having the girls on the other team hating her. She finds herself slipping back into her old drinking ways during the nights out with her castmates. This quickly leads to her making some questionable decisions that will eventually fuel more judgment and hatred from the girls in the house.
Davis is kissing Tonya. We're all like, aren't you married? I am shocked.
Even if I went home with you and cheated on my husband, that's my life and my marriage. And on every challenge, picked a guy and hooked up with him and had sex with him. Big deal. I don't feel like it's crossing any lines. And, if later it does cross the line, then I'm going to have to deal with that consequence.
I carry Tonya in tonight. I tuck her in, and that's the end of the story.
During this episode, Tonya is seen drinking too much and is kinda giving Davis a kiss or two, and from what they air, it's not a full-on makeout session. I could be wrong though, I don't know. Later on, Davis states clearly that he just tucked her into bed and nothing happened. Now, is it fully appropriate for a married woman to do that? I honestly don't know. That depends on your view, and honestly it's between Tonya and her actual husband. It definitely has nothing to do with Susie and Kara, who later on grabbed Davis and play the IHT game with him. The IHT abbreviation is just a cute nickname they come up with for their favorite new game, the I Hate Tonya game. During this particular session of the IHT game, more bashing and bullying of Tonya takes place, and Tonya can hear every single word of it, which just adds another layer of cruelty to this whole situation.
Whoever can't think of a reason to IHT, lose it. T stands for I hate IHT.
I gotta get an idea.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
I hate Tonya because she spent about 2 hours learning how to be a stripper last night.
I hate Tonya because she does lunges by the van and looks at herself in the reflection. I hate Tonya because the distraction of her insanely large saddlebag thigh ass area. Oh my god. Actually, so distracting that I think it's affecting the admission.
I don't know, I just feel awful about this whole thing. And I'm not the girl that cries about this. I act like I don't care about this show, and everybody, and I'm gonna win regardless. But that's not why I come on this show. Like, eventually I'd like to get along with a few people. Fed up with Susie and Kara. I don't think I'm really that tough. And I have more regret when I do things like this.
While binging these seasons back to back, I've seen Tonya be upset about how people treated her more than a few times. But hearing her say that eventually she would just like to get along with people is really sad. Season after season, she kept getting put into situations that she doesn't deserve. She had her body made fun of, her privacy violated, and been called names left and right by her other co-stars. And I think it's actually getting to her. Like, duh, of course it would. Moreover, it's extra frustrating having all of this shit takes place on a season that she comes into being happy and healthy and is actually doing amazing in the daily challenges. Like, spoiler alert, this is the season Tonya finally wins the show, but it's all tainted by all the horrible things being said about her all the damn time. Tonya's excellent physical performance this season carries her all the way to the final, and she continues to put up a great performance at the final mission, helping her team win the season, in the process beating the good guys team and specifically Mean Girl Susie. Her win of the Inferno 3 is bittersweet, as she walks away with $40,000 and another season where she is the punching bag for her co-stars on the challenge. And from this point on, I'm sad to report that things go downhill quickly for her. Tonya would return to the challenge after winning her last season to join the other players in filming the 16th season of the challenge, known as The Island. Full of confidence from her first win ever, Tonya joins the show full of determination, and she is ready to show her co-stars and the viewers at home that she can handle the challenge environment and all the crap that comes with it. Tonya's happy confidence bubble is quickly burst when she discovers she isn't really on the challenge. The format of the island is nothing like what the players are used to. The big comfy house is gone, there's no bathrooms, and most importantly, there is a limited supply of water and food, which makes this season full of even more tension and drama than usual. Season 16 of the challenge, as best as I can describe it, is like Survivor on steroids. Tonya finds herself struggling to cope with this version of the challenge, understandably in my opinion. She panics at the thought of having to deal with a bunch of people who have already proven that they neither like or respect her, with the added pressure of being stuck on a literal island with them. It's here, in my opinion, that Tonya starts to realize that her life off of reality television is far better and more peaceful than it is on it. During what looks like a panic attack, she states through tears that off the show she has been doing really well, and that she has been quote-unquote normal.
I'm gonna leave. I've been normal for so many months, but then I get in this situation and it stresses me out anyway.
I'm scared. This is so different from anything we've done in the past, and we all know that I haven't always been that popular.
Tonya's vulnerable position in the game is made worse when she has a discussion with Kenny about how to build the escape boat the group is meant to build to get off of the island. This argument quickly escalates when Kenny gets upset, seemingly for no reason, and proceeds to attack Tonya verbally.
Why are you so negative?
Why are you jumping in this conversation?
So negative. You don't want to do it, but you want to bitch about it.
Shut up. Go take some medication or something. Tonya, you're a retard. You're not catching the conversation whatsoever.
Retard.
Just the retards. Meaning you.
Now, why is it anytime anyone has a problem with Tonya, their first instinct is to attack her mental health? Like, oh, Tanya's so bipolar, or Tanya's off her medications. Like, good God, half of you guys should be medicated, or in Kenny's case, should be locked up. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but honestly, my blood pressure was boiling watching this scene. And I kept getting more and more upset as I watched this episode. Like, we're literally in the first episode of the season, and I already hate this so much. And I was about to hate it way more as Tonya finds herself going into the face-off against Abe and Kenny, two huge guys. Like, I'm sorry, I'm all about women empowerment and everything, but how is Tonya supposed to compete physically in a mission against two guys twice her size? Some of the other players suggest that it should be all girls or all guys going in, you know, to make it more fair, but ultimately they decide against it, leading to Tonya facing off against the two guys, as she sadly and predictably loses. leaving her and Kenny going head-to-head for the last spot in the game in what is clearly a popularity contest, one that Tonya obviously loses, as if 4 seasons of everyone hating on this woman wasn't foreshadowing enough for them kicking her off an island in the first episode of the season. That being said, Tonya manages to put up a great speech, emphasizing Kenny's physical strength while downplaying hers, arguing that out of the 2 of them, the players should obviously keep her because she's less of a physical competition for them. But oh well, it's all for nothing as Tonya gets voted off by a vote of 14-3, which is very harsh. Tonya's journey on the island lasts for a single episode, and honestly, I'm so grateful for it. I was so happy to see her go home, especially after I read articles alleging that the producers didn't allow her to have her mental health medications while filming this season, which means that while the single episode Tonya filmed was bad, it could have gotten so much worse for her. Only Tonya could appear on a season for such a short amount of time, yet face such horrible circumstances. Some of these players go on literal dozens of seasons without getting harassed once, which is so frustrating and it really makes you feel for her. Season 18 of the challenge, which aired in 2009, would mark Tonya's last appearance on the challenge and reality television as a whole. In fact, Tonya would choose to drop off of social media and television completely to live a quiet, private, and what I hope to be a very happy life after filming The Ruins. Her decision to drastically change her lifestyle comes off the really sad and honestly just disturbing circumstances she would experience during filming this season of the challenge. Aged 29 years old and freshly divorced from her then husband, Tonya's appearance on her last season would paint a picture of someone who is obviously struggling and is not in a mentally well place in their life. During the first episode of the show, scenes of an extremely intoxicated Tonya that has to be carried to her bed is seen. What was assumed as Tonya simply drinking too much at parties and having fun while filming a reality television show is soon changed into her possibly struggling with serious alcohol dependency, something which Tonya seems to be aware of.
I wish I didn't drink as much as I drink. I definitely have worn out my welcome. You just can't drink like that every single night and expect people to be there for you. No, don't be sorry. I'm the one drinking. This game's easy. My real life isn't.
For Tonya, she's in a situation where she just got divorced. You look at her and you're like, you really need to get your together.
Her being in the house with people such as Susie, Veronica, and Kenny doesn't exactly make the environment of the season any healthier for her. She's easily triggered when some of her castmates make jokes about her hometown, Walla Walla, which admittedly has a catchy, funny name. But Tonya reacts to these jokes personally, and the full-blown argument takes place. And I'm in no way blaming her here. If I was made fun of for everything I did on every single season I appeared on, you best believe I would be triggered by someone laughing at me in a group setting, no matter how silly the reason is. Now I could be assuming too much here, but I really don't think Tonya is this upset about Evelyn making fun of Walla Walla, but rather that she thought Evelyn was her friend and that this whole thing puts her in a position where something about her, or something that is related to her, is being made fun of once again, and in front of Veronica of all people. Not that anyone in the house recognizes this, as Kenny, Evan, and Johnny Bananas continue to take digs at her every chance they get, ignoring her pleas for them to just stop and leave her alone.
Definitely an easy target because she has no idea where she is.
I will kill you.
That's not true,
I see you're the best girl on our team.
It's actually really sad.
Okay. Yeah, you do that.
You are a funny. But sometimes you should stop.
I'm just saying your hair looks awesome.
Come on, shut up. I don't want to play this game with you anymore. Put your upset. Come on, this game's over.
She just creates an easy target for herself. And unfortunately, a lot of the people in this house take advantage of that.
Don't! Come on, we're helping you out.
It's always fun to...
Where'd he go?
Kenny and Johnny use Tonya as the butt of their jokes. Tonya on this challenge can only be characterized as a ticking time bomb.
You okay? Eyeball. I'm trying to help you.
You can make fun of me. Yeah, I get drunk and I fight and I get stupid and occasionally a boob falls out. But there is a line with me and you crossed it.
On a game level, things don't go well for Tonya either. Her performance this season is a mixed bag. While she does really well on some daily missions, and even manages to send DM home during an elimination, she has missions where she appears to be completely confused and disoriented. It's heavily suggested by the other players that Tonya's constant drinking in this season is the reason for this. And in fact, later interviews done by Tonya's co-stars on the challenge would suggest that her drinking during the daily challenges, while she has to perform dangerous physical stunts, would force the production to dye the alcohol with food dye, as to guarantee the safety of the players and prevent them from sneaking alcohol in water bottles, something which Tonya was allegedly doing.
I do believe that she doesn't need to be involved in any of this. I don't think she's got the mental strength to be able to handle it. I mean, there's a lot of people that get sad and they cry on these shows, but she's just...
Last episode.
No, and I've had my psycho days too, but it's the stuff they couldn't even air because it was just that bad, and that's a fact. It was that bad. They could not air it.
Oh my God, we'd all be...
All I'm gonna say about this is that they had to dye the alcohol in the house with food coloring because she would pour gin and tequila and vodka, anything that was a clear liquor, into a water bottle, and then walk around for the 5 minutes it lasted like it was water, and she'd chug it, and then all of a sudden she'd be on the ground. And they were like, what the hell?
That's a standard thing now that they do. That's why all of our drinks are freaking blue and green and shit. On the island.
It's because they have to dye it.
That's vodka right
there.
But, like, on the ruins, I think, like, and this is just my personal opinion on the subject, but, like, I think it was probably very, like, triggering for Tonya to be there with Veronica. And this was a time in the challenge house where, like, we had like a $2,000, $2,500 a week alcohol budget, and it was like every Monday you'd write on a list what the fuck you wanted from the alcohol store, and they would come bring it to the house. And so there was just like a lot of
looking at
indulgence, I think, on everybody's part. And like there are certain people that indulge a little more than others, and I think that's like kind of was Tonya's downfall there. Veronica being there around her, that it was probably triggering, and that's just my opinion. Like, I don't know.
It got on the ruins for her and for Tonya.
Yeah.
And I know she had to do a couple of things, but like also I think she didn't feel protected at all, and thank God she had a couple of people there that kind of made her feel protected. But like when you're traumatized or have PTSD from something and it's happening in the moment, I think that's kind of what Tonya dealt with. But also we had to like kind of avoid the vodka and the dyeing of the alcohol and everything after that. So it was like a related situation really for that. I feel bad for Tonya that she had to deal with what she had to deal with.
Tonya's drinking on the season is played off mostly for laughs. Scenes of a drunk Tonya rambling about to anyone who listens, or her catching a bug, eating it, and chugging a beer afterwards, which I mean, that's just epic. But on a serious note, it's really messed up that the production and the network continued to let her spiral. And I know why they did that. Obviously, it brings in viewers to their show. But on a human being kind of level, it's really messed up. Seemingly, Tonya was drunk off and on missions. So basically the whole time.
Upstairs?
No, I won't.
Tonya,
can we do this?
No,
I won't. I've been kicked out of every
You're drunk.
Oh,
You're
stop.
drunk. Please, Tonya, we're doing an interview down here. You'll have your time. I'm not gonna come.
You asked me to put on lip gloss. I'm coming. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. Come on, 2 minutes. Could you give me 2 minutes and I'll come for you? I'll go out there.
Fine.
Okay.
Please. Awesome. Thank you. You're very sweet. You look nice.
He knows if he tells me I look good, I'll walk away. Fine. Thank you.
Tonya's got an excellent grasp on the English language there. Thank you, Tonya. Oh, did you get that? She just showed me her boobies.
I did not.
Both of them.
You lied.
You have awesome.
You lied.
You have awesome for a 60-year-old, Tonya.
Stop.
Look at that. Get that on camera. The
Stop.
kids would love to see those.
You better finish that. She made me shower.
I know.
I'm coming.
Thank
I'm coming
God.
to you.
Thanks
I'm coming
for
to
making her shower. We
you.
appreciate that.
I'll do it. Is it okay? Yes. Yes, I'm coming to you.
But I will admit I'm drunk.
All right. All right. Well, I'll get you.
Believe me, you weren't fooling anybody.
Tonya's last episode on the show would be episode 4, where she would be forced to leave the competition after attacking Veronica physically. The fight starts when Tonya talks to Veronica about the events of Inferno 2, where Veronica, Rachel, and Tina made fun of her constantly and took pictures of her while sleeping naked. The conversation starts off calmly, with Veronica responding by saying, "Hey, it was just funny." She takes zero accountability and doesn't even bother pretending to be sorry. This results into the conversation getting heated, with Tonya and Veronica going back and forth until suddenly Tonya is seen attacking Veronica. Now, watching this scene go down, it was very jarring for me to see Tonya hit her. Like, throughout all the shit this girl has gone through, she's never attacked anyone physically. Moreover, the scene cuts suddenly to Veronica saying, "Let's call a spade," without much context to what she meant. Later speculations that Veronica might have, and this is all just conspiracy theory here, but Veronica allegedly said something or maybe even made fun of the sexual abuse Tonya experienced during her time in foster care when she was a child, which, if true, and honestly I can see Veronica saying some sick twisted shit like that, then well, this makes sense as to why Tonya finally snapped.
You know, V, I think I'm still reliving in some way the other challenge.
Inferno 2? It was funny.
It wasn't funny to me.
Yeah, you're a bigger drunk now than you ever were. Like, let's be honest.
How about you shut the up?
Have you ever known me to be someone that shuts up?
Look, like I'm backing down.
You don't need to back down. You look crazy. You're so crazy.
Yeah,
You're
this is me
crazy.
sober.
I don't think you're sober. Let's just say it. Let's call a spade a spade.
This theory is somewhat backed up by Beth posting a very vague tweet that says, quote, "I know what Veronica said to get Tonya so upset and it's not cool," unquote. And Evan saying that Veronica said something that should have never been said, to which Tonya responds with, "I'm just embarrassed."
Tonya, listen, she said some that shouldn't have been said. And for her to stick around and wait for it to come to that point, it's not cool. T, don't worry about the game.
I'm just embarrassed.
Fans' theory on this fight and the cause of it assumes that Tonya during the fight might have tried to out Veronica's relationship with Rachel again, which led to Veronica allegedly making comments to Tonya in relation to her abuse during her many years in foster care. The truth of the exact cause of the fight is really hard to find, but the aftermath of it would leave Tonya in a really bad place. She is seen having what I honestly see as an emotional breakdown, and I just want to give her a hug and tell her that she's going to be okay. And while Tonya would be disqualified from the show because hitting someone is against the rules, her story on the challenge would be far, far from over. On October 2011, Tonya Cooley officially filed a lawsuit against her two co-stars, Kenny Santucci and Starkman, and the network as well, stating that she experienced SA during the filming of season 18 of the challenge, The Ruins. Now, I'll be reading all the information I found regarding this lawsuit, and the details can be extremely graphic, so trigger warning for anyone who isn't comfortable with this part of the video. While addressing this topic, I will be using the words claimed and alleged, because well, I'm not a lawyer and I obviously wasn't there when this happened, although I have to say, personally, I believe her. In a Reality Blur article published in 2021, which provided the full and actual lawsuit, it can be stated that Tonya filed a complaint with the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing for alleged unlawful termination, harassment, failure to prevent discrimination and retaliation, and SA. In regards to the alleged incident, the lawsuit claims, quote, "Approximately 8 days into filming of The Real World, The Ruins, on a non-competition day of filming, defendants provided provided the cast members with large amounts of alcohol, and cast members spent the day at the pool while continuously being filmed by approximately 2 or 3 film crews. The cast members began drinking before noon, including wine and hard alcohol, and were only given a limited amount of food. Plaintiff became very intoxicated. Late in the day, a male cast member forcibly removed plaintiff's bikini and threw it into a tree. Plaintiff thereafter left the pool to return to the bunk area. When plaintiff left the pool, defendant Kenny and Evan followed plaintiff to the bunk area. Santucci and Starkman, Kenny and Evan, continued to harass and torment plaintiff as she struggled to get into her bed. Plaintiff's high level of intoxication was obvious as she struggled to get into her bed and attempted to fend off both Kenny and Evan. Kenny squirted lotion onto plaintiff's head several times. At the same time, another male cast member threw baby powder all over plaintiff's face and body so that plaintiff had difficulty seeing. The males blocked plaintiff from getting into her bed. Plaintiff attempted to stop the males, telling Starkman, Evan, "Don't touch me," and stating, "I want to get into my own bed." In response, Evan attempted to hold plaintiff, which plaintiff attempted to stop, noting that plaintiff was passed out to the point she could not be awoken even with aggressive physical contact or cold water. Kenny and Evan took another male participant's toothbrush and rubbed the toothbrush, and to be honest, I'm not really comfortable reading the next part, but I will be leaving it on screen for you to read. Soon after this exchange, plaintiff passed out on the floor. Kenny and Evan slapped plaintiff hard on her face several times, but plaintiff did not stir or respond in any way. Kenny and Evan continued to touch plaintiff, but plaintiff did not become conscious. Female participants also attempted to revive plaintiff, but were unsuccessful, unquote. It's heavily speculated by other cast members and fans of the show that the toothbrush used to assault Tonya belonged to another male contestant that both Evan and Kenny hated and had constant fights with, and this whole incident was played off as a cruel joke to get back at him. This male cast member is believed to be Wes. Wes is believed to have told Tonya, allegedly, about the incident the following day after hearing about it. Furthermore, in other versions of the story, Kenny and Evan allegedly used a camera to take pictures of an unconscious Tonya, with Wes's toothbrush either making contact or being held near her private part. Tonya, not being aware of the actual details of what happened that night due to her being unconscious, is stated clearly in the lawsuit filing, and it's an important and honestly just shocking part of the document, as Tonya goes on to argue that the crew members working for the network were present at the time, and whether or not the toothbrush was involved in simply taking pictures of her naked, or if it allegedly went further than that, it doesn't really matter if you ask me. She was unconscious and naked with 2 men and a camera crew, and it's the responsibility of the network to protect her, something which they obviously failed to do. Quote, the following morning, unaware of the SA, plaintiff noticed that she was sore in her private parts and had lacerations and rash-like abrasions. Plaintiff assumed that the lacerations/abrasions were some sort of rash caused by her participation in various physical challenges, but took note of the unusual nature of the laceration. Throughout the SA, other cast members were present to watch Kenny and Evan, SA plaintiff. In addition, the SA occurred in an area filled with cameras that followed any activities or conversation of the show's participants. Given that the cameras were monitored, plaintiff asserts that corporate defendants were aware of the event as they occurred but failed to take action to intervene. Additionally, plaintiff asserts, based on the presence of cameras and monitors as well as multiple cast members, that corporate defendants were aware of the battery but failed to inform plaintiff that it had occurred and failed to take any remedial or disciplinary actions against the individual defendants, unquote. In the following years, some cast members would come out to share their thoughts on the incident, and while some of them were very careful and vague while addressing it,
I love Kenny. That's my boy. I know it's unpopular maybe by some of you, but there's more to every story, so I'm not touching that.
Others who were present in the room in which the alleged incident took place came out with a fully detailed recount of what allegedly happened.
Let's talk about it. This is my favorite subject.
Crazy talk.
Here's what happened. Let me just set the record straight. We're on the ruins. Yeah. You guys settle in. You switching tabs right now? You coming to our screen? Okay, we're on the ruins. It's late. In our bedroom was a drunk and passed out, unconscious woman named Tonya.
We weren't even in the, I don't even think I was in the bedroom.
Well, you were eventually.
Eventually.
So Tonya was frequently unconscious, and unfortunately there was a culture of a fraternity house where they mistreated her. You guys saw a lot of it on the show, where they threw powder on her. It was a whole scene. It was terrible. And looking back, I was like, this is totally immoral, and I don't know why I put up with it.
It's very hard when you're in it.
Yeah, at the time I was like,
it was
whatever.
my first challenge, and I was just like, as they said, I was happy to be there.
Right. So then Kenny and Evan, decide, and Johnny was there as well, but he wasn't really as actively involved, and Sarah was there in the room, decide it would be funny to take a picture with Evan's camera, which he shouldn't have even had on the show, like holding up the toothbrush near her exposed, which was already on display.
Yeah, she was wearing a tie bathing suit, and like she had untied one of the sides, and so it was like half on, half off.
Right.
Laying, and
so her vagina was out and exposed, and they held the toothbrush out.
But like nobody untied her bathing suit
or touched her.
Right. She crawled into bed and then passed out halfway through crawling into bed.
Right. So this is totally inappropriate behavior. Not okay. But they took the picture. Then everyone talked about it. Wes found out, and Katie Cooley, and then people told her the next day, like, this is what happened. I don't know whether they told her that it was just a picture or whether they told her that it was more than that. They deny even telling her in the first place.
The people, yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
And then she was upset, but that was sort of the end of it. And then after filming, the picture was on
Evan's
phone, and Wes saw it, and then it got sent to Scooter, who works for MTV. I think Wes sent it to Scooter.
Mm-hmm.
And so then production knows. My husband was on set working that night. He saw none of this, nothing like to do with assault or anything like that. Of course, because it didn't happen. It was just this picture tomfoolery.
And to think that I would not jump in and stop if I saw somebody
with
the toothbrush.
Well, you saw them take the picture, though.
For Christ's sake.
Right? But like that to me felt like the same as this powder antics.
But like, here's the thing: is I don't even have any memory. I don't even remember because the room, you know how there were two sections.
Yeah.
All that happened in that back section.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out in that front section where we had all of the drinks
chairs
and all that. So
and you knew
it's
they
like
were doing
we know
shenanigans.
we know that there's shenanigans.
Yeah.
But it's like them in the
because it was such a non-issue.
Right.
Like this went on every day or every night.
It wasn't anything new. It wasn't like, oh, this is odd.
No.
I should go get production. No.
So I guess Kellyanne's trying to say, because you were there, you were involved, but like being a witness to something is not the same as doing it.
Yeah.
Even though the fact that it happened at all is sad.
It is.
But it really was like a culture of like boys being boys, which I've written about so many times.
Would I call it inappropriate? Yes. Would I call it illegal? No.
Right. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying her video was out all the time. This wasn't like a new thing either.
It's kind of like and this is like there was always a guy that I used to pass when I lived in Long Beach who would jerk off on the side of the road, like just be sitting there on the corner like this. If you videotaped him.
What? Oh.
Is it sexual assault? Because he's sitting there, you know?
Well,
you're like,
she was unconscious though, so it's different.
That's true.
But who's giving this a thumbs down? I want thumbs up. Who's doing this? Is great content because I'm just laying out all
bananas.
Now, if your blood pressure went up while watching the clip of Sarah and Susie talk about this incident while worrying about their like to dislike ratio, then you're not alone. I was fuming watching that. I swear I didn't realize I could dislike Susie more than I already do. And apparently I wasn't alone, as viewers of the show would go on to heavily criticize both Sarah and Susie for their defense of Kenny on a podcast interview they appeared on. Keep in mind that this is with them acknowledging that Kenny, if nothing else, did take pictures of an unconscious Tonya while she was naked, but they found it okay to just defend the man.
Okay.
I love him.
We get a lot of crap for loving him.
Yeah, why do you love him?
Oh, I'll tell you why. There was a Thanksgiving. It was after the ruins, and Kenny was the guy who was like, if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. And my family was like going through it at the time, and I had nowhere to go for Thanksgiving, so he invited me over, and I stayed at his family. I slept on.
No, guys.
I love him.
Following their appearance and positive re-endorsement of Kenny, Susie and Sarah would be called out by one of their other co-stars on the challenge, Jemmy, who, it's important to say that she wasn't actually present during the filming of season 18, The Ruins, in which the alleged incident took place. But anyways, quote, I personally find it bizarre for them to go on that podcast to begin with, considering what they stand for, but to get on that pod and bash Johnny while defending Kenny, shall we dive into that? And I spent a lot of time going through all the available information regarding Tonya's case, and I firmly believe Kenny and Evan did something to Tonya to warrant a settlement and them being banned. And hell, if you need proof of who they are, go watch past seasons. The proof is in the pudding. And I've heard from numerous people, including someone yesterday, that Sarah was playing photographer that night. So her being deposed doesn't mean shit to me because, say it with me, she's a pick-me girly. Again, interpret that as you wish, unquote. Following the publication of these series of tweets, Susie would slip into Jemmy's DMs to defend both herself as well as Kenny and Evan in a lengthy and honestly just very delusional message that Jemmy would thankfully leak. Quote, just want to get something clear. Kenny and Evan did not assault Tonya. Sarah and I were there and Sarah was deposed. We have been very vocal about the way in which the men on the show, including but not limited to Kenny and Evan, behaved inappropriately on several seasons, including The Ruins, and on that night in particular. We have been unequivocal in our repeated condemnation of their misbehavior. Those indiscretions and transgressions which were encouraged, rewarded, and facilitated by production were inexcusable, but that does not mean they should be accused of assault, especially by someone who wasn't even present. Falsely accuse someone of felony and imply that Sarah and I are liars and or apologies for our word is as offensive as anything I have ever saw a cast member do on the show, unquote. Seriously, Susie, as offensive as anything you ever saw a cast member do on the show? This coming from a woman who constantly bullied Tonya and was, self-admittedly, present in the room where she watched two men take pictures of an unconscious woman and chose not to do anything to stop it. Honestly, knowing Susie, and this is just speculation on my part, but I think she was laughing her ass off while this whole thing was happening. Now, from what I understand, Tonya's lawsuit hinges on her and her lawyer's ability to prove she was actually employed by MTV, which common sense says she is, obviously, since, you know, she made several appearances on their television show, was paid for it, promoted it, and was widely known for it. However, without seeing their contracts, it's hard to say if she and the other cast members can be considered as actual employees, which in turn makes suing the network for liability that much more difficult. And speaking of the network, in response to Tonya's lawsuit, the network would release a statement denying any responsibility while basically, in my opinion, victim blaming Tonya for the whole thing. Quote, in addition to failing to avail herself of VMN's policies and complaint procedures, plaintiff failed to avoid the injuries of which she complains. For example, while she was a contestant on The Ruins, plaintiff was frequently intoxicated to an extent far greater than other contestants, rowdy, combative, flirtatious, and on multiple occasions intentionally exposed her bare breast and genitalia to the other contestants, unquote. In 2012, the lawsuit would be settled for an undisclosed amount, and it's rumored that Kenny, Evan, and Tonya would all sign a lifelong NDA that prevents them from ever discussing the details of the settlement reached in this case. Tonya, Evan, and Kenny would never appear on another episode of the challenge as of the time of making this video. However, Kenny is rumored to have received an invite back on the series, but due to him failing to get insured, this apparently never led anywhere. Part 3. Conclusion. Reality television in the early 2000s never fails to shock the hell out of me. I firmly believe that reality television is the root of all evil, and I say this while being fully aware of how hypocritical I sound, as I obviously enjoy watching it. The drama, fights, and overall toxic environment these shows often have is a really good way to escape your problems and dive into the more complicated and messed up lives of others. Reality TV often presents a mutually beneficial relationship between the viewer at home and the reality television star. We get to watch the ins and outs of someone's life as it often unravels, while the quote-unquote star gains money, fame, and success in return. It's a win-win situation. But every once in a while, you get to watch someone's life unravel too much. It goes way beyond petty fights, drunken nights, and overly manufactured drama, where it feels almost abusive to tune in episode after episode to watch someone's life fall apart in front of your eyes. This is sadly what I think happened in Tonya's case. Having experienced an insanely difficult childhood and coming from a very sheltered environment, she found herself overpowered by the environment of reality television. Prior to her joining her first reality TV series, The Real World, Tonya was a nursing student living in a small town of approximately 33,000 people, with a boyfriend she wanted to marry and a small support system that saw her for who she was and loved her for it. Tonya Cooley was happy and content with her life. Her mental health spiral and abuse of alcohol during her near decade of reality television was ignored, often encouraged, and at times used to manufacture the tense situations reality television is infamous for. Season after season, there was no line for the producers, as Tonya's continuous struggles on their series made her their golden goose. The worse things got for her, the better it was for the ratings. Tonya's story on The Challenge is not one that you watch for fun. It's sad and it's depressing, and overall it's very frustrating. But it does seem to have a happy ending, with Tonya's choice of leaving reality television for good and pursuing a very private and hopefully happy life away from all the cameras. In closing of this video, I would like to share the last statement I could find from Tonya, who reportedly owns her own hair salon. Quote, "I was a great competitor, but I was lost personally. Mentally, I wasn't mature enough to handle some of the situations I was in, and in turn, I drank a lot. If people could see where I am versus 5 years ago, I think they would be shocked. I am a genuinely happy person now. I still have a bit of the wild and crazy Tonya in me, but I've learned to balance her out. It would have been nice to have people see that I actually made it." Unquote. If you enjoyed this video, then you might want to check out this playlist filled with similar reality television deep dives. Also, memberships are now a thing if you would like to support this channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.